Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
The new Macomb County prosecutor is about to take over here in Macomb County. So what are the big changes? And there are some.
Another arrest in the murder of Egypt Covington. Her family reacts to a third person being charged in her death 3 years later.
But we're going to begin with the local forecasters tracking an icy start to the new year. However, the silver lining there is we are saying goodbye to 2020. However, just into the beginning of it, things are going to look dicey for the start of 2021.
It sounds like it. Paul Gross is in for Ben tonight. And Paul, we know that snow isn't really the issue, right? But how are things looking for tomorrow?
We're going to get everything. But fortunately, a lot of people are not working tomorrow, so you don't really have to go out in this stuff, most of you. Frontline workers, we thank you. We know you'll be out in it. My friends at the National Weather Service in White Lake have hoisted, as expected, a winter weather advisory. That kicks in at noon tomorrow and extends into tomorrow night. Right now, it's very quiet outside. If you are heading out right now, we're in the 20s right now. Ann Arbor has dropped off very quickly to 23, but most of us are in the upper 20s right now. And as you just saw, there is that storm. Here it is on Storm Tracker 4, already wound up down to the south. Big severe weather threat down there as well. That is heading this way, and it is going to get here during the morning tomorrow. Now, we're going to start the day dry. Maybe there are a few flurries, but we're going to moisten up the atmosphere, and we're going to see a band of snow, a quick band of snow, come in and quickly change over to freezing rain. And coming up in just a little bit, what I'm going to do is take that map you just saw, drill it down to your individual counties. We're going to have that for you, talk about where the highest ice risk is, and also there are flakes at the start and at the finish of this thing. We'll talk about the accumulation potential. All that coming up in just a few minutes, guys. And don't forget, the Local Forecasters app also has you covered, and it's going to be great to watch tomorrow because that live radar on there is color-coded, just like what I just showed you on TV, so you can see where the rain, the snow, and the ice is. Just go to the App Store. It's free. Search under WDIV.
All right, thank you, Paul. Her murder was a mystery for years, but today there's been another big development in the death of Egypt Covington.
A third person now has been arrested in this case. He's Shandon Groom, a 28-year-old from Toledo. He's being charged with murder and home invasion 3 years after Covington was found bound and shot in her Van Buren Township home. Grant Herm spoke to her family, who is relieved there is finally movement in this case.
This arrest is another piece in the puzzle of 27-year-old Egypt Covington's death, and for her family, a step towards justice, and as they say, what might be a light at the end of the tunnel. In court, Shannon Ray Groom, the third arrest in the murder of 27-year-old Egypt Covington in 2017. Groom was arrested 3 days before Christmas and went in front of the judge Thursday, his 28th birthday. Groom is charged with felony murder and 2 counts of first-degree home invasion, allegedly part of Covington's murder, entering her home and killing her after she got home from a yoga class. Groom was also the latest to be arrested after 2 big breaks in the case. Timothy Moore arrested in November and Shane Evans arrested earlier this month.
We miss her, but we're busy trying to find justice and make things happen, and it's been working.
Egypt's brother Dwayne and his fiancée Lindsay are excited but have mixed emotions after their first holiday season since the arrest.
It also brings everything real. It brings it all to life, and we now have faces that we can get mad at instead of wondering where we didn't know.
There's still a ways to go in the investigation. Lindsay and Dwayne stressing they still need help, and there's still a reward for information that leads to an arrest set at $30,000.
Our why is still really weighing hard on us, and we are confident that we will figure that out eventually. And we're confident that because of MSP, we are confident with that.
Confident that an end and possibly justice may be in sight.
We see a light at the end of the tunnel. It's still an open investigation, so we still want people to, throw in tips if they know anything.
And Lindsay and Dwayne have also started their own podcast, hoping to tell Egypt's story and help other families who have been touched by similar tragedy. In Farmington Hills, Grant Herms, Local 4.
All right, Grant, and as for those 3 suspects, they're all set to be in court together for the first time, January 13th.
A teenager has been killed, his father hurt in a shooting in South Lyon. Police tell us the 17-year-old was shot and killed at a home on Liberty near 10 Mile in Lafayette. This happened last night. His 43-year-old father was also shot and is now in critical but stable condition in the hospital. Police are working several leads on a possible suspect, but no one is in custody right now. The circumstances not yet being released. Police tell us if you know anything, give them a call.
Newly elected Macomb County Prosecutor Pete Lucido will officially be sworn in first thing next week, but he's already getting to work. Lucido ran after former prosecutor Eric Smith resigned amid an embezzlement scandal. As Nick Monticelli reports, even though Lucido hasn't started yet, change has.
He has no legal authority until he's sworn in next week, but Peter Lucido has already taken over the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office. And hanging new artwork for a friendlier environment is the smallest of changes. The first, Assistant Prosecutor William Cataldo is no longer the chief of homicides. Not because Cataldo was doing a bad job, but because Lucido wants more people working on big cases.
Cataldo is a skilled trial lawyer. Therefore, letters that are here, they can go ahead with camaraderie and togetherness. They can figure out and solve bigger problems.
There's also a newly created conviction and integrity unit, a team looking over warrant requests instead of one person signing off.
So that prosecutor is looking over those warrants to see if there is enough to make the elements of the crime stick. Has a big job. And at the end of it, if they're signing warrants nilly-willingly, I'll put them in front of the judges to try the cases that they signed the warrants as, because if you think you had it then, go do it now.
Most importantly is repairing public trust. Former prosecutor Eric Smith resigned, facing 10 felony charges, accused of embezzlement and obstruction of justice. Lucido says he's not aware of any other employees involved in those alleged crimes, but did say there's a difference between criminal behavior and unethical behavior.
Those are grievable. Those are things that can lose your bar card. And when you lose your bar card, you also lose your job here in the prosecutor's office. This is the biggest black cloud to take over the prosecutor's office and destroy the public trust about the justice system. So if you love the law, they almost go hand in hand, that the system I truly believe in, when it's working the right way with the right people at the right time. This is very, very hard for me to say, but to rebuild the trust of this public after what's occurred here is going to take some time.
Now again, Lucido will be sworn in this building early next week on Monday. Then he will swear in the assistant prosecuting attorneys. In Mount Clemens, Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
All right, Nick. In a rare New Year's Eve session, the Senate continued to debate the COVID relief checks.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell objected twice this afternoon to increase the size of direct payments from $600 to $2,000. Senators also still need to take action on President Trump's veto of a huge defense bill. And McConnell promised today the Senate would stay in session until it passes the bill. Other headlines in Washington, Georgia Senator David Perdue says he'll remain in quarantine after coming into close contact with someone who has tested positive for COVID-19. That news comes just days before the state's runoff election for his seat, which will help determine which party has control of the Senate.
The University of Michigan opened doors to the Big House for the latest round of the new coronavirus vaccinations. Students and staff that fall into the Phase 1A priority group received their first dose of the Pfizer vaccine. And to be clear, these are students who work in healthcare settings, not general U of M students. An anesthesiologist at U of M Hospital was one of the first to get his shot today.
You know, I will be able to be in the fight a little bit more. I don't have to worry as much about getting COVID, about taking COVID home, about spreading COVID to my coworkers.
Everyone that received their first shot today will get a second shot in about 3 weeks. There's never been a more anticipated end of the year than 2020, and in less than 6 hours, we get to finally say goodbye.
Bye-bye. Celebrating New Year's Eve, obviously going to be a whole lot different tonight with, of course, COVID restrictions still in place. Larry Spruill is live in Northville, and Larry, we know that people are starting their celebrations in downtown Northville outside right now.
Yeah, Sandra and Jason, a lot of people say they are starting off the celebration right here in downtown Northville. And the most popular thing right now is those heated lamps that you see behind me. A lot of people were even standing around those. Let's take a look at some of the video that we have from earlier. Now, a lot of people say they decided to come out here to celebrate with their family and friends. And that's why they chose to start off their evening with here. But then we'll move on to something totally different. Now, this year will be a lot different than previous years. In previous years, you probably will realize and remember remember that a lot of people were in large crowds celebrating inside restaurants and bars, but that would not be the case this year. Many people I talked to say that's really not a bad thing.
Totally different this year. We usually have a big party with all of our friends at our house. We have dinner and play games all night, but since the COVID's here, we're just gonna stay home, just the two of us with our little puppy, and hang out with us, and hopefully next year we'll be able to have a big party again with our friends.
Me and my husband and our golden retriever, we're just down here having a good time, and we'll head back home and have dinner and bring in the new year there.
And so I had to ask a lot of people, are you making New Year resolutions this year? Are you happy to see 2020 go? Well, I'm working on that part of the story on New Tonight at 11. We are live in Northfield tonight. Larry Spruill, Local 4.
All right, we'll see you at 11. Thanks, Larry. Now let's go ahead and take a live look at Times Square, where we usually at this point see 1 million strong getting ready to watch the ball drop. This year, Times Square closed to the public with only invited guests and families of essential workers being allowed to attend. You can watch the ball drop right here, though, on Local 4. Our coverage begins immediately following us on Local 4 News at 11.
Michigan State Police are urging people to stay home tonight, but they say if you do go out, there will be troopers patrolling for drunk drivers. State police say drunk driving arrests were down in Metro Detroit this year with fewer people on the roads. In Macomb, Oakland, and Wayne County, state police arrested 673 people this year. Last year, they arrested 742.
Still ahead, they are the words that you never want to hear again.
The list of banished words we are leaving behind in 2020 are just out. We'll tell you about those, and here's Hank.
It's a 3-digit number, but it can have a huge impact on your buying power and also what you'll have to pay. I'm Hank Winchester. Help me, Hank. We have financial experts weighing in and showing you what you can do to help improve your credit score.